back to my channel today, and we are doing a brand new Sims 3 Creative Sim video today. And so today I bring you the one, the only Michael and Scott Sorensen Creative Sim. It feels so great to say this because I've been playing The Sims 3 for literally 3 weeks now, and I spent way too long in it, but it felt so good to play a different game besides, like, The Sims 2, 3, 4, or 1, whatever. I just feels great to, like, kind of go back to, like, a game that I really did love a lot with, like, the family orientating, the graduation, prom, all the things The Sims 3 had, I miss. And so I wanted to kind of play a household that I truly enjoyed and created from scratch with a storyline and add their families and their, like, relatives and stuff like that. So it's like my type of gameplay, but without drama. This is the only household, I have to say, this is the only household that does not have any drama yet. Because the thing is, there is actually a sim that I'll be creating next in the next, probably like next week or something like that, because with Jo Sorensen, if you do not know who that is, I did a creative sim of her about probably 2 weeks ago. I will leave the link down below in the description if you guys haven't watched it. I kind of explained her storyline a little bit. I think I did. Can't remember. It's been a little bit too long. Nevertheless, she is married, and her husband, who has a brother that I'll be creating with a little bit of a mistress and their child, it's a little bit of a, let's just say, an interesting backstory that I will explain a lot more. And her husband is Hector Otis, and so Hector's brother, Ethan, who is a hot mess. But I don't want to get carried away right now, but here we are with Michael Sorensen. He is currently a young adult living in the world of, I believe, not Hidden Valley. I think it's not Palm Springs, Meadow Glen, but I will be moving him and his husband and their adopted daughter to a different world because I don't want to have all the families in one world. I kind of want them to go visit their family if they live like in a different world or across seas or whatever. I want them to like to travel, experience new things as they grow up in age and have more kids and meet new people. So that's what I want to do. But as of right now, they all live in one world in Meadow Glen. And Michael's dream is to one day potentially have at least two or more three kids, like at least like a family of 5. But for right now, they have an adopted daughter. They want to go through like a surrogate next time to see how that works for them, because they are not really doing good financially right now, just because they currently moved once again from an apartment to an actual house temporarily, because they are currently building their house in a different world, and their house is actually going to be mid-century modern, and they have been thinking of moving to Palm Springs, which is well, actually no, not Palm Springs, Lucky Palms. Yeah. Lucky Palms. They want to move over there because it's a very deserty world. It's very hot, humid, and it's like they hate the winter. They really do not like the cold weather. So they really want to move somewhere that's like very like not too hot, but like just right temperature where it doesn't snow and it's just a good site to live or a good place to live. And plus, they have good schools there too. So it's a kind of a possibility we'll end up moving there in probably the next 2 or 3 years once their daughter's like a teenager or getting close to a teenager during that time. But Michael used to be a top level video game developer in a different world, but he is currently now a professional journalist. But he's actually journaling about video game designing, video game developing, how I became a video game developer in the past, how to make games from scratch, how to get ideas, and all the things, how to like just basically make a game with your own type of skills that you currently have. So he's really doing that very successfully. I believe he's in level 5 of his career, but he kind of wants to like, help other kids in his local town for right now to give them some career advice when they grow up, because he's helping his I think either his father, no, it's Joe's husband's father who's in the education career, and so Michael is helping him with his class for like career day or whatever for this week. And he's like teaching them how to do video game developing. And so it's kind of fun to see how, they, grasp the idea of, again, video games and designing. I'm weird. Either way, so right now we are making Scott Sorensen, who is actually his husband, and they kind of met not really on an on dating line website because Michael doesn't like the online. The online creeps him out a little bit too much, but he met Scott actually in college when they were kind of, in the same area. They weren't in the same degree, like program or department, because Michael was there for like fitness training and all this stuff like that, but he was training for the military. So the military basically paid for him to go to college to get the education that he needed for future jobs, but he did have a sense of like technology, technology skills. So he had all that going for him. So he has the nerd trait thing. The thing that came with the Sims 3. Either way, he has that nerd thing along with Michael. So they kind of are compatible in that type of way. I forget if they're zodiac signs for this one, but I know that they're compatible. So when Scott met Michael, or technically Michael met Scott, and they were kind of just in the cafeteria just talking, or technically in the dorms talking, because they both lived in the same dormitory together, and they started talking to each other saying, hey, I'm Michael, I'm Scott, da 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 da, you're in the military part, I'm in the more of the video game technology track. And later, as they started talking a lot more, they figured out that they were in one of the same technology classes together. And so they were kind of more like study buddies, and one thing led to another. They started hanging out more, and they went on their first date in like the local coffee area, as one does all the time, because coffee is great. I can't relate because I don't drink coffee. I drink tea. Either way, they love both coffee. And so basically they were just like, ooh, let's get to know each other a little bit more and see what's what and how we can go forth into more of our friendship. But that kind of developed more into more of a boyfriend relationship for them. And I think at the time when they met, they were both juniors. So they had like 1 year left before they kind of graduated from college. And I think when they graduated, they were pretty much like, okay, we both graduated, let's live together. So they went ahead and actually moved into an apartment together, and surprisingly, they lived in that apartment for about 7 years. So it's like 7 years after college. And they didn't kill each other because they're good friends and they talk to each other, they communicate well. And so I was kind of surprised that they weren't kind of bickering and arguing about like random little things. Well, they kind of were, but like not really huge stuff. They were basically just arguing about like, who's going to clean that, who's going to do that, who's going to pay the bill. So, the generic stuff that happens when you live together with a different person that is not your significant other yet. So when they were living together, they decided, okay, they made a list. They did all this stuff. They like, you're going to pay the bills. I'm going to pay half. You're going to pay half. We're going to clean all of these things. And so after 7 years later, they went ahead and decided to say, I love you, you love me, let's get together and... Hold up. That's the wrong jingle. I love you, you love me, let's get engaged. And so they got engaged, but Michael actually... who was it? No. It was Scott. Scott actually kind of like surprised Michael on their like... Because they've been dating for a long time. So Scott surprised Michael on their 30th some odd date or whatever. It's just been a long time. 7 years of dating, actually. Yeah. No. 8 years of dating. Dang. 8 years of dating. So, yeah, after 8 years of dating, Scott proposed at their local little hangout they used to hang at one of their first date with. A coffee joint at their old university, which is so weird because going back to like your old school where people know you, it's just awkward. Plus, you're a little bit older, people are younger. It's not a good time. And so Scott took Michael over to their local little hangout for a coffee shop that they went on their very first date when they were juniors. And it was so romantic. He got down on one knee. He says, Michael, I really love you. I would love you to be my husband. And he said yes. And it was so nice. And surprisingly, it was kind of the fact that Michael was shocked because he bought a ring as well. So it was a little bit like, oh, I was going to propose too. Well, okay, that's fine. So he put the ring back in his pocket, but he told him later afterwards, like after he proposed and stuff like that, and he went home, he said, I was going to propose to you as well. Yeah, so it's a win-win scenario. They were both going to, they both love each other really, really well. And so I think after a year later, they got married. Joe was there. At the time, Joe was still single. She was just doing her own thing. Their parents were there, and I believe that, who else was there? Most of like Michael's closest friends were there as well. And so when they got married, they went on a honeymoon off to Paris, or actually Paris, and then they went to Egypt. So they kind of explored around the world, which was nice. And it was just, it was so cool. I love the family so much. I cannot play them. I cannot wait to play them even more. But when they got back from their honeymoon, they have settled into their new house, because they decided to go live temporarily in a new house before they because their lease was already over at their apartment. They had decided that many, many years afterwards, before they weren't going to, get married and stuff like that. So when they kind of decided to move to a different house temporarily, they kind of rented it out, or technically leased it for a while, for about 2 years before they build their new house. So they traveled back home, moved to a new house, and now they are currently married with a 9-year-old daughter, who is actually a B student currently, and is in the after-school activity of ballet. So that's kind of nice. I really love, Michael and Scot Sorensen and their daughter. They're one big happy family, but they do have their ups and downs sometimes, but they manage to get through it. When they communicate, they talk it out, and they just take a breather sometimes. Sometimes they have to walk away from each other, just basically not to, hurt each other and hurt their relationship and hurt their family. And so they just take their time as life goes on, and they're doing well for themselves. So I'm proud of them. They're doing great. They're living in a house together. They're going to be moving to Lucky Palms, in a mid-century modern house, and all that goodness jazz. That was a crazy storyline. Overall, I've talked way too much. This is literally double the size of the video that I had it at already. Originally, it was supposed to be 6 minutes. Yeah, it's 12 minutes long. It's fine. I'm okay. I talk a lot. I like to elaborate my stories a lot longer to give you more of a gist of the whole story, before I get into more of the current household video that will come sooner or later. But I'm going to go ahead and end this video right here. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know down in the comments below, as always, of what do you think of Michael and Scot Sorensen, their storyline, how they are compatible and stuff like that. What do you think of, the whole shebang, and where do you see their future leading off into before they moved? Oh, also to mention, Scot is actually in the military career. Yeah, wait, I actually mentioned that before. Yeah, he's in the military. Yeah, Scot's in the military. Michael's in the professional journalism career. Kind of clear that up right there. I'm a hot mess, but it's fine. But again, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys all in the very next video. Bye!